Lord of the Mysteries is overwhelming in the best and strangest ways. From the first scene, it drops you into a world of magic, cults, secret organizations, and cosmic forces with no time to catch your breath. I've never spent an hour consuming media and left so confused and compelled all at once. Scene after scene layers on more symbols, more cryptic dialogue, more unexplained mechanics. A man wakes up bleeding with no memories. Tarot cards shimmer in some cosmic domain. People talk about rituals and churches and forces beyond understanding. The world feels fully built, but you're left piecing it together, moment by moment. The animation is stunning, the sound design is immersive, the atmosphere is thick. Every element pulls you deeper, even if you're not sure where you're going. I went in blind and left thinking this might be one of the most ambitious anime projects of the year. There are moments that feel profound, moments that feel rushed, and moments where I genuinely had no clue what I was watching, but I couldn't look away. So here's what I'm trying to figure out. What's actually happening in Lord of the Mysteries? Why does it work so well despite the confusion? And what would I change to make the story work better? Trying to explain the plot of Lord of the Mysteries after just 2 episodes is like trying to decode a language while it's still being written. But here's the gist. A man named Cho Mingray wakes up in a completely unfamiliar body, now going by Klein Moretti. He's been transmigrated into a strange steampunk-like world filled with cults, secret police, and supernatural orders, and there's a bullet in his head. Almost immediately, we're hit with concepts like Beyonders, the Nighthawks, sequences, divination, and ancient notebooks with cursed powers. The show introduces all of these without context, and yet I couldn't stop watching. What helped ground me, surprisingly, was the idea of the sequences and pathways. Once I realized these were essentially classes in an RPG, everything clicked. I've always loved MMOs. I grew up obsessing over class trees, abilities, roles, builds, and in Lord of the Mysteries, the pathways give that same sense of structure to an otherwise chaotic world. Klein chooses the seer path, and that decision shapes how he interacts with the unknown. It's the kind of world building that rewards curiosity, even if it doesn't make itself easy to understand. But that also leads to the biggest challenge. This show throws everything at you without pause. Rituals and cosmic domains appear out of nowhere. There's a tarot club with people named Justice and the Hanged Man, and we just go with it. Klein doesn't know what's happening, and neither do we. That works thematically, but it's a lot to take in. Still, between the mystery, the atmosphere, and the sheer spectacle of it all, I couldn't look away. Every visual feels like it's carrying some kind of hidden weight. The way Klein observes the world, the tension in every conversation, the symbols carved into the edges of the frame, it all feels intentional. Even when I didn't understand what I was looking at, I wanted to know more. It kept pulling me deeper with every unanswered question. Lord of the Mysteries offers curiosity, and if you're willing to lean into it, it becomes impossible to look away. Hey there, looks like you've been caught in Dio Stan the World. While time's frozen, don't forget to leave a like, drop a comment, and subscribe so you never miss any future content. Alright, time's up, back to the video. As much as I'm impressed by Lord of the Mysteries, there are definitely things I would have done differently, starting with the way information is delivered. For lack of a better term, it's relentless. Apparently over 40 chapters of source material were crammed into just these 2 episodes. Characters, organizations, and systems are introduced one after another without any breathing room. The show rarely pauses to let you feel the weight of what's happening. You're constantly catching up, and not always in a satisfying way. The best and most frustrating example of this is the luck ritual scene. Midway through episode 1, Klein performs a luck ritual meant to find a way back to his original world. What happens instead is one of the most elaborate, confusing sequences I've ever seen in a first episode. He enters a floating void, summons a teenager and a sailor who later identify themselves as Justice and the Hanged Man, and crowns himself the Fool in a space that resembles a tarot-themed dream realm. Visually, it's stunning, but narratively, it's overwhelming. This scene goes on for about 7 minutes, and almost none of it is explained. Who are these people? Why are they here? What's the purpose of this domain? How does Klein even know how to do this before becoming a seer? In a later episode, maybe this would have worked as a payoff, but dropping something that dense and mystical in the first episode before we even fully understand who Klein is makes it feel disconnected. Ultimately, it left me more confused than intrigued. That moment kind of sums up the core issue. The series is trying to show how vast and layered it is, but it doesn't always give give us the tools to navigate it. There's no time to settle into the characters or understand their motivations before the next arcane detail gets introduced. If the first 2 episodes had slowed down just a little bit, given us more space with Klein, let us understand the mechanics of this world one step at a time, I think the emotional beats would have landed harder. The mystery wouldn't have suffered, in fact it would have deepened. Even with the pacing issues, there are moments in Lord of the Mysteries that genuinely blew me away. And not just because of the animation, this series knows how to build an atmosphere. And when it slows down enough to let the atmosphere breathe, it's incredible. One of the most grounded and emotionally resonant moments comes near the end of episode 2 when Klein visits his newly found family. After all the cosmic madness and high-stakes magic, we get this quiet scene where he's just trying to take care of his sister and brother who share a resemblance to his mother and father in his world. He's using his new salary to move them into a better home away from the cramped, poverty-stricken apartment they were surviving in. There's something deeply human about this gesture. It shows that Klein, despite everything he's just gone through, is still holding on to his empathy. That moment worked because the show finally let us sit still. No lore dumps, no rituals, just a brother trying to do something good. And after an hour of getting hit with a million terms and mysteries, it's what was needed. The soundtrack also deserves more credit. Every track feels like it was designed to deepen the unease, the curiosity, or the emotional weight of a scene. It's hard to describe how much a good score matters in a show like this, where so much of the narrative is unspoken, but Lord of the Mysteries gets it right. Then there's Klein himself. He's not an overpowered protagonist. He's anxious, thoughtful, sometimes awkward. He second guesses his actions, he fumbles, and because he's a man from a modern world, we get to experience the new reality through his lens of skepticism and reasoning. Watching him piece things together, however slowly, makes the process feel a little bit more believable. You get the sense that he's trying to survive just like anyone would, even if he's now walking through a world shaped by fate, danger, and unknowable forces. And while I criticize the Tarot Club scene for being too long and too early, I can't deny that the idea of it is amazing. A secret multi-dimensional gathering of figures with cryptic names, all tied together by a man who isekai'd into their world. That's the kind of high concept weirdness I live for. If they continue to develop this thread at a better pace, it could end up being one of the most fascinating elements of the entire series. There's ambition baked into every frame of Lord of the Mysteries. Even when it stumbles, you can tell this isn't just another adaptation. You can feel the weight of the original novel behind it, even if it's a little too heavy in the beginning. I haven't read the source material, which means I'm going into Lord of the Mysteries the way most anime-only viewers will, completely blind. No charts, no wiki dives, just vibes and deduction. Even without a full grasp on the lore, a few things are starting to take shape, and they've got me excited about where this could go. First, I don't think Klein is just here to adapt to the world. I think he's going to change it. The fact that he was isekai'd into a body with no clear reason, wakes up with a bullet hole in his head, and is now tampering with forces he barely understands, it all feels like more than just survival. It feels like a setup for something much bigger. Maybe he becomes a godlike figure, maybe he breaks the pathway system entirely and Beyonders become the norm. Whatever the endgame is, I don't think it's just about becoming stronger, I think it's about rewriting the entire structure of this world. The Tarot Club is another wild card right now. It feels like an aesthetic curiosity, a visually striking idea that doesn't make full sense. But I think we're going to learn that this space is bigger than Klein, that he didn't create it, he just tapped into it. The idea that each of these figures, Justice, the Hanged Man, the Fool, represents a different pathway or a different sequence of fate opens up so many possibilities. Are they real people? Are they in the same timeline? Spirits or representation of Klein's fractured mind? I have no clue, but I want to know. I'm also convinced there's something deeply wrong with the Nighthawks, not in the surface level secret police are corrupt kind of way, but more like in the they're bound by rules they don't fully understand themselves. Dunn seems like a good guy on the surface, but there's a constant tension in every scene with him, like he's barely holding something back. I wouldn't be surprised if he's being manipulated or already partially consumed by the forces they claim to control. And then there's the church. Any anime that starts whispering about churches, notebooks, and ancient knowledge usually ends up with a massive reveal about how the religious structure is a cover-up for something even more mysterious. I'm calling it now. The church is hiding something world-shattering, and Klein's going to be the one who uncovers it, probably by accident. One of my more subtle predictions I have involves Klein. I wouldn't be surprised if we later find out his personality is being altered by the pathway he chose, or that becoming a seer comes with psychological consequences he's not aware of yet. That would be an interesting twist, Klein losing pieces of himself as he gains power. But above all, I'm predicting that Lord of the Mysteries is going to lean even harder into the Lovecraftian angle. We've only scratched the surface of the unknown, and I expect we're going to see much darker things down the line. I might not understand everything yet, but I know one thing for sure. This world is too intricate, too intentional, and too damn interesting to ignore. Lord of the Mysteries is the kind of series that demands you pay attention. It challenges you to sit with uncertainty, to trust that the answers will come eventually, and to enjoy the experience even when you don't fully understand it. That's not going to work for everyone, but for me, that challenge is exactly what makes it exciting. Yes, the pacing in the first 2 episodes could have been handled better. Yes, some scenes feel like puzzles more than plot points, but it's rare to find a show this confident in its vision, one that commits to its world building, its tone, and its complexity without compromise. Even when it stumbles, it does so with style. What really won me over was the mix of haunting visuals, immersive sound, and Klein himself, a protagonist who isn't all-knowing or all-powerful, but observant, flawed, and trying to figure things out just like the rest of us. The show doesn't treat him like a hero, it treats him like a variable, and that's so much more interesting to watch unfold. There's a long way to go, and plenty could still go wrong, but if Lord of the Mysteries sticks to the landing, or even just slows down enough to let its brilliance breathe, it could end up being one of the most fascinating anime of the year. And maybe, just maybe by episode 12, I'll finally understand what a Beyonder actually is. Catch you in the next one.